Viking season part 2 starts as we get into the playoffs against the Rams. Let's talk about this one.
And of course, just like every show, giving away the Gridiron Kings JJ McCarthy. Let's go get that W and get the Lions back. Let's get into the show.
Everybody, thank you so much for joining us on this beautiful Thursday. Of course, we know we have the wild card game against the Rams, but before we really get into that, obviously we do not know where this game will be played at this point due to the wildfires there. So it would be a good time just to, I guess, talk about just, keep them in your thoughts. I mean, it's some pretty crazy stuff going on.
Yeah, it sounds like
there.
it.
I mean, I know they showed a picture from the Rams practice facility and you could see the puffs of smoke from off in the distance. So
yeah,
some crazy stuff going on there. So again, we do not know if this game will be played in LA. They're trying their best to hold this decision out as long as they can because they want the game to be played there because the Rams obviously winning their division do deserve the home game. But otherwise,
no, they don't.
The neutral site would be Arizona. So hopefully everything goes well there. I mean, at this point, I guess we'll kind of see. I don't know when that determination will be made, but either way, no matter what, there is still a football game that does need to be played here. And look, we all know the rematch. Or this is a rematch. Our second loss back, I believe it was week 8 after our loss to the Lions. Of course, the big thing is, yes, we're still traveling there, but we're not traveling there on a short week, which is huge. Plus, we now know everybody that is playing because last time, it sounded like they're pretty unaware that Puka was even going to be available. And this team is honestly, there's been some turning points, and that game, honestly, to me, felt like a big turning point in this season, right? Because that was, at that time, that game really exemplified it. We had all the pre-snap penalties. Kevin O'Connell, you mentioned it today. There was that one drive on defense where we had 3 penalties that extended their drive that led to another touchdown. And that's right as we were kind of going score for score with them. So penalties were a big issue in that game. And even honestly, after that game was when Kevin O'Connell said he kind of decided to, not necessarily dumb down the offense, but just make it, quicker, a little more free flowing, a lot less checks, a lot less verbiage at the line, just kind of making it a to B type play. With one check in there if Darnold saw something. So that game was kind of a big one in kind of shifting that mindset. And this team has been kind of an entirely different story since then. The pre-snap penalties have calmed down. So I think, look, I know that last game ended pretty ugly with a face mask call. We lost by 10. But I think that game really was a nice turning point for this team. So I think it's going to end up being a lot better. I again, having and not now going from a Sunday night to a Monday night, you do get the extra day in there. As last time it was on a short turnaround, so I'm feeling much better about the trip that way this time around. But again, what happened last week, you feel worse about the way the team is right now because of what happened last week. But again, easily correctable things, especially with Darnold and some of the offensive stuff and defensive. They can just play like they did last game. It's gonna be great, but. I mean, either way, it's playoffs. It's a whole new season. What happened in the regular season doesn't matter. And it's no matter what, it's going to be a tough challenge. But I think this team is going to be ready for it.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's going to be a good one. And just like you said, shout out to all the people in LA. It does sound bad. Yeah, I heard that. I don't know. There's some sort of wind out there that hasn't happened in 7 years or something like that. And it's worst case scenario if there's a fire and it happened to land on the same day. Yeah. That being said, of course, hopefully everyone's safe over there. I'd way rather play this game in Arizona. I mean, even in LA, you kind of feel like we have it kind of LA, both with the Chargers and the Rams at this point, you can fill the seats with a lot of your players. Half of them are going to probably be Viking fans anyways, but you move it to Arizona, a more neutral spot for either team. But even us, the 14-2 team, the team that should be home, depending on what your thoughts are on that. We talked about it. We talked about it last week. Yeah. But anyways, yeah. So, I mean, obviously if we play there, it probably makes things a bit easier. And then, I mean, man, like you said, hopefully, last time it was a shorter week. We'll get a little bit more time this time around. I know after the last time we beat the Lions, we kind of had that same feeling hey, it was probably good to kind of get humbled a little bit. And then, the next week we go against the Rambles and kind of get humbled again. And hopefully that is not the case this time, and we actually come in this game a little more fired. I mean, it's playoffs; you're going to be fired up no matter what. I'm taking our talent over them this year. Really comes down to one player specifically really showing up, and that's going to be Sam Darnold here. But before we continuing forward, I'm going to do some shout outs here. We had Nick Riley in here at 329. Man, I'm beyond pissed off about Sunday. You can't go 0-4 in the red zone. Yeah, so red zone is going to be a huge one here. We have De Niro in here. What up, my guy? What up, Purple Gang? Everyone should be holding their head high. This is a new season. Let's start 1-0. Hey, going with the KOC mindset. I
like it.
Gary, my dude, sup, Skol mates. Let's go. Bleeding Purple and Salee. My guys, what is going on? I'm a little nervous for the wild card game against the Rams, but I think we get the dub 34-20. Hey, I like that. I'm a little nervous, but we win by 14. That's what we're talking about here. Bob Sweet in the building, of course. You have to say it's 19. What would it be now? 18-3 or no? 17-3.
Yeah,
that's what it would be. 17-3, Bob Sweet. That's what you got to be putting out here now. Who else we got in here? Roger's in the building. What's going on, Roger? T-Bass. I saw your you had to drop off some Doberman puppies. Who else we got in here? Girlfriend is letting me name all the puppies, naming most of them for Vikings player. Need one more girl name. I have Paige and Peyton. Peyton list for Walter Payton. Play out of a girl name. How about Taylor Swift?
Gross.
That seems like a T-Bass name. Hey, my guy, Vocal Vike in the building. Let's go, my dude. We got to catch up soon, man. Mark Phil. Let's go, Mark. Welcome in. Who else we got in here? I think we got George Blunt in the building as well. Let's go. Penny, I don't know any. I'm trying to think of a girl name that would work out well. That has to do with Vikings. Nothing.
What's Mike Zimmer?
How about Sam Ponder?
What's Mike Zimmer's girlfriend's name?
I don't know, but she's from Esco. I know that.
Could do that one.
Let's go. But yeah, anyways, back to this game. Yeah, I guess, last time they kind of the problem with them is it's the KOC versus the Sean McVay type of thing. They kind of were able to follow the same strategy as the Lions were last time, which kind of sucks because then you kind of know that they know the best way to beat us. Last time though, there's a couple big things. We'll get into it more in depth later. Both Puka and Cup, we didn't know we're going to play. We thought, we had no idea. I don't think anyone was thinking that Puka was going to make that last game at all. And all of a sudden, he was available and Cup available. They both come back on the same week against us. And then, of course, we're thinking like, okay, Puka's going to be injured. He's not going to be used much. They used him a ton. He ends up having over 100 yards on us. Ends up being obviously not good. So, that's the one thing is short week for us last time. We didn't expect Puka to play, and especially I don't think we were expecting him to play and actually play full snaps or at least close to it. But yeah, any other initial thoughts on this game?
Yeah, it's again, but the thing that even though they were getting those kind of quick passing game, running game was working well for them. We held in there for we were going shot for shot with them on those first few scores as long as we could. Until those penalties really kind of kicked in there. So it's yes, I think there is a lot you can take from that first game, but I do think this is also, as they all say, it's two totally different teams right now. So yeah, look, these are two coaches that know each other super well. It's going to be a really entertaining game. I'm excited to see what Flores dials up. Coming off a really, it doesn't the yardage and points may not look like it, but a really, really good defensive performance last week. So I'm excited to see what McVay dials up, and then I'm excited to see this offense get back on track. And we know they can do it. They're going to have to do it in a tough test. So we'll see.
Yeah.
That Rams defense has some players on it, man. Some young players on there that are absolute studs. So it's going to be tough on both sides of the ball. But this is what the playoffs are all about: fun matchups and storylines and all that type of stuff. So it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. We need to bounce back in this one. Starting to feel bad for Sam Darnold. I mean, it wasn't supposed to be a situation where this game was gonna feel like it was like to win it was gonna all fall on his shoulders. But that's kind of the scenario that's played out here. But continuing on here, let's get into. I mean, we'll bring up some injuries. I was gonna make my little graphics, but the Rams have not released anything on their side as far as I've seen. So I don't know how they're looking from an injury standpoint so far. But I know for us, Patrick Jones did not participate. I think there's a good chance we end up not seeing him. Aaron Jones was limited. I haven't heard tons of him. I'm assuming that we'll probably see him play. And then you had Sam Darnold and Murrow, who's been out, and Oliver and Taki, who was full participant. So yeah, Taki Tamani came out. I think today they put him on the gave him that 21-day window or whatever, and he's already full participant. I doubt we see him this week, but I mean, obviously he was kind of like the big guy in the middle that we haven't had since he's been injured. So
yeah, absolutely. And I mean, like you said, Darnold, yeah, he was on there with a quad injury. He was full participant, so I mean, obviously, I think he'll be good to go. But in case he doesn't, there's some other interesting quarterback things that we'll talk about a little bit later. But we'll see.
Yeah, there is a couple other things. Again, everybody giving away the JJ McCarthy Gridiron Kings rookie card. Get the hashtag Skols in the comments, like the video, and subscribe if you have not already. All that good stuff. Let's move into our top 5 keys to victory. Yeah, what's going on, FT? Maddie in the building. Yep, get them hashtag Skols in, hashtag Skols. Let's get it. Let's get it. All right, starting with, actually, let me bring this media thing down. All right, starting at number 5, we've got, to get the right side. Okay, at number 5, we've got plan for Puka this time. I'm already talked to him a little, I mean, I probably said a lot about him already, but last time he had 7 catches for 106 yards. Obviously, I already mentioned it earlier. We weren't expecting him to play at all last time, and we ended up playing against him and Cooper Kupp. But not just that. I did mention earlier how they were able to kind of use whatever the Lions did against us again, which we've been an issue since the Lions and the Rams game, which is kind of eating us up on short plays in the middle of the field, nickel and diming us all the way down the field, ultimately scoring, or if our red zone steps up. And that's exactly what they did with Puka last time. We weren't expecting him to play much. They started throwing these little short passes over and over again early, and it kind of opened up everything, not just for that offense from a passing standpoint, but even from the run game with Kyren Williams. And that's something that we have to worry about. I mean, they played out of almost any teams, they might have had the most balanced offensive performance against us that 1 week. So what's your thoughts on Puka and Kupp, and just even, I mean, you could just the skill players on that offense in general?
Yeah, I mean, and going back to the Puka thing in general, I mean, both Kevin O'Connell and Brian Flores admitted this week that they I mean, Flores said himself they were a little bit surprised and had to scramble to prepare for Puka, because I believe Kevin O'Connell said his practice window opened as they got on the plane to head to LA, and they found out about 4 hours before the game that he was going to be active. And again, at that point, like if you're a defensive coordinator, you're thinking of this in 2 ways. Okay, he's active, so he's going to be playing, so we need to prep for him. But then also you think, well, he's coming off a knee injury. It's he's been active. His 21-day practice window opened yesterday. So how much is he really going to play? Are they just going to put him out there as a decoy? Is he playing a full complement of snaps? So, I mean, honestly, look, I get it. The competitive advantages with that practice window, the Rams use that pretty much perfectly, as we saw. Because again,
right.
Not expecting, I mean, basically both coaches saying, not expected to see him play at all. And he was, I mean, look, breakout star last season. This season hurt early on, but ever since he came back, I mean, that offense has just looked different. Stafford loves him. He's trustworthy. He's a big guy. You can make all the catches, run all the routes. So now that they have a full time to prepare for him, I think this defense can be a lot better prepared. Then obviously Cooper Kupp having a little bit of a down season, but he's still, him and Stafford just have that connection, just kind of like Kirk and Thielen did when Thielen got a little older in age. So, I mean, this offense is tough to stop. Then you got Matthew Stafford, who, yes, is getting older, but the dude is just a smart quarterback. I mean, he's seen everything. Right. He's seen every defense. He's seen he's just seen everything since all the years he's been in the league. He's played the Vikings a lot, so I mean, this offense is gonna be a tough one to stop. But again, Flores, like I said, the score the score doesn't dictate how good the defense really played last week. Again, giving up some chunk plays here and there, sure, but they held their own, gave the offense multiple opportunities. So I think Flores is gonna have a good plan, especially right now with all these head coaching interviews. I mean, he's going to want his defense to look as good as possible. So, I mean, I think he's got a little bit of, I mean, he already has, I mean, obviously he's dedicated to this team. He has that motivation, but I think he's going to have just a little bit of extra with those head coaching interviews on the line as well. So, to see what they do. This, I mean, again, this offense, this entire team is going to be tough to go against, but specifically, this offense is just it's gonna be tough, man. It's gonna be tough going against this defense. Is gonna be tough going against this Rams offense, but I trust Flores to have a good plan for him.
Yes, and this is a great point here. The Vikings were one of the few playoff teams that didn't get to rest players. Obviously, all the Rams guys were rested up from that last game, and that's going to be one thing.
But a week off doesn't, I mean, a lot of times it doesn't really like. Sure, it's nice to have the week off, nice to have the rest.
I would say I've never seen any giant correlation to a team being rest. Like you see like a 4 days, like 4 days from like a 4 day window of like the last time you played or whatever. Yeah, you see sometimes that's pretty dramatic, but you don't see is that much rest good? I mean, I don't know. It's probably good to kind of keep your body rolling too. So I don't know. Maybe that's not a big deal, but at the same time, that, I mean, we're pretty much healthy for the most part. I mean, that was like the best thing that happened in that Lions game is even though we didn't rest our players, we didn't leave with a ton of injuries or anything like that. So that's a huge positive going into this game. So I don't know. I don't even know where their health stands at this point for sure. I wish I would have had a better idea, but hopefully they drop that somewhat soon, maybe even during this episode. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, hey, these wide receivers are the type of wide receivers that have been killing. Cooper Kupp and Puka are like the perfect type of receivers that have been giving us struggles this year. And, I mean, if you can hold them in check, it's another thing. We've talked about this before that, I mean, it's kind of one of those positions. I think we talked about JSN where you just kind of feel like it's going to happen. And that they're going to get yards on you and it's going to happen, but you just got to do your best to keep them in check as much as possible and especially stop them in the red zone. Our guy Smokey coming in here hot our way with the 1999, my dude. I was pissed about the last game, but I got faith. What I'm worried about is Stafford, like Goff. Stafford gets in rhythm and completes pass. They need to force incompletion. And that's what Casey was saying too. And that was a great point is that's the thing with Matt Stafford is he's a veteran. He's one of the better quarterbacks in the league. I mean, from a sitting in the pocket and composure and his arm talent, just being in the pocket, even though he doesn't use his legs a lot, he's one of the best in the league. And he's been since coming in. And that's another thing. I mean, going into our next one, that's why this has been a problem because this is something we have to take advantage of. And that's bad pass protecting. They're ranked as the worst pass blocking offensive line in the NFL. And according to PFF, they also have the third worst pass blocking grade. So they just have not been great in pass blocking at all this year, but they've only allowed like 20 sacks on the season or something like that. I think in like the bottom 10 or 15. And that has a lot to do with Sam Darnold or Sam Stafford. Yeah, Matt Stafford. Holy crap, I'm getting everybody. Sam Darnold, Sam Bradford, Matt Stafford, all of it's getting mixed up here. But Stafford is his ability to get the ball out and things like that and just have that composure. This was high on our keys to victory the last time we talked about this game, and we left that one without a single sack, I believe. So this time, you got to figure out a way to get to Matt Stafford and ultimately just disrupt their passing game. Using Cooper Kupp and Puka.
Yeah, absolutely. And then another $9.99. Thank you so much, Smokey. My concerns: KOC needs to implement the short to medium game, which is true. Use TJ. Don't tick around with AJ carries. Yeah, I think that is a major gripe people do have about O'Connell is you don't see a lot of the short passing game, which again other teams do against us, but we don't always do against other people.
What up, Barber?
Hey, how's it going? Thank you.
Yeah, so Casey's going with the bald look, man. It's working.
New me made a change.
T-Bass, you're bald, right? I think you go with the bald look. I believe so.
I was bald spot right in the middle. So I decided just to get rid of all of it.
Hey, it's
Um,
working, dude. It's working.
but yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. But like you said, this was on our keys of victory last time. We didn't. I don't think. Where was that? Didn't we stack Stafford 5 times last game? We didn't get to him once. And that was kind of the big thing. Is like because I remember that was the big story about how like they had one of the worst pass protecting offensive lines. We come into the game, we just couldn't get after him whatsoever. But again, I mean, part of that the fact that they use Flores' aggressiveness against us. I think that's a big thing as well, knowing he likes to blitz, and the best way to beat a blitz is that short pass game, and I think they use it to perfection. So I think that did have something to do with it. But again, I think overall it just needs to be a much better plan by Flores this time, and we've seen that he's gotten less aggressive as time has gone on. And I think knowing, and I see T-Bass talking about covering, I think knowing that when he blitzes, we don't have the cornerback talent to cover some of these receivers we have faced in man coverage one-on-one situation. So I do think that's a big reason why he has kind of laid off that blitz a little bit, just to, get more guys back into coverage. And look, Stafford's one of those guys that if you blitz him, he's going to see it coming. He's going to be smart. So if you're going to blitz, you got to get there. But it should be easier against a bad offensive line. But as we've seen, that's not always the case this year with this team. And it's just, again, I feel like we haven't gotten pressure early, which seems to be kind of a little bit of a concern. So hopefully that changes this game.
Smoke.
Yeah, I know. It's different. It's different. But
hey, he's committing. He's committing. Let's face it, Sunday night when we couldn't stop. Appreciate you, Smokey, by the way. We couldn't stop the run when we had to.
I don't agree with that necessarily. I mean, there was one or two because Gibbs had
later in the game we couldn't.
At fourth quarter, your defense had been out there so long they were exhausted. I get it. That's not always an excuse, but that is on the offense to score some points. But I mean, yes, Gibbs had a long touchdown run, but I feel like I feel like we did pretty solid against the run for the most part. I mean, I think Gibbs had. What did Gibbs have? Like 40 some yards going like into the middle of the third quarter.
Yeah. I mean, we did pretty good job with Gibbs for the most part until the end. Then he just broke out. Kyren, we struggled, and we obviously struggled with Gibbs earlier on. But Kyren, I mean, like I said earlier, we did struggle with Kyren last time, and he's someone that you definitely have to worry. He's a good running back. And if they nickel and dime us, of course, that's going to open up every single thing for the run game. And I don't know, of course, like it's obvious every single week, like, disrupt the passer, disrupt the quarterback, and that's going to help you win. But this is going to be a big one because they don't have a good offensive line when it comes to the pass game. Supposedly, that's what they're saying. Last time it was hard to notice that for us. But if it's a weakness of there, like we got to figure out how to take it or at least get some pressures. Like, I want to get home to Stafford. That would be huge. But getting some pressures last week, our defense just was phenomenal again at creating turnovers in disruptive plays. So we just need more of that. Did you have the Vikes stacked in case you have a Sodak? Oh, yeah. Dude, I haven't seen Sodak in a while.
Sodak still exists. He never comes in here anymore. Kind of.
I know. We need to get Sodak in here. Ginkle will get Tinkle on the Rams defense. We missed Pat Jones last game. Dallas needs to sit and learn. Dallas, we didn't see much we saw a little bit of Dallas last week, but there wasn't any big plays. Jones did not participate in practice today, so there's probably a good chance that we don't see him. I mean, man, it's time for Dallas Turner just to, empty out the tank and get Ginkle up. We need to get a Grenard pressure that turns into a Ginkle pick six. God, he should. There's like a world where he has 4 pick sixes this season.
Yeah,
there's a world that he has 4 pick sixes, but hey, we'll see. We'll see if we can get another one against Matt Stafford. But I mean, that's what we got to do on defense, man. I mean, a lot of what we did last week, if we just do that again, we're going to be good. We did really good job against the Lions offense for most of that game.
Yeah. I don't know. But again, Stafford is just, Stafford's smart. Again, like we just said, he's seen it all. So it's going to be tough. And it was the first time around, and it's going to be tough this time around as well. But again, I do think we have the guy here in Flores that I think is going to drop a good game plan. And again, just for his head coaching prospects, I think he's going to be that much more motivated to shine this game with that defense. And we'll see.
Hey, we'll get it. Hey, FT Maddie, by the way, I told you to remind me about that. I'll send you a JJ McCarthy rookie card. I'm still trying to get some more. I don't know what other players you guys want. I was going to pull the trigger on Sam Darnold, and I was going to do it that day, but now it like inflated. The Sam Darnold thing kind of inflated, so I'm hoping that if he plays good, we'll get some Sam Darnolds, but I'm just scared of getting a bunch of Sam Darnolds and then nobody wants him because he's not going to be sticking around to the team and he's wearing a Jets jersey. So, but I got you, bro. I got you. I'll find something for you. I think you've won a JJ McCarthy. I'll see if I find something else, but otherwise I can send you another JJ McCarthy, man. Appreciate you. I'll appreciate you popping in here every show. So, yeah, no brainer. But keeping on moving on here. We talked about their offensive line. That means we got to talk about ours. Protecting Sam Darnold, especially in beginnings of games, are awful. It seems like the beginning of every single game, our offensive line is doing terrible, and they kind of like get things together later on. Last game was not just on. A lot of it had to do with protecting Darnold, but some of it was just on Sam Darnold. But again, we talk about this pretty much every week. We talk about they're on our losers almost every week. They did have a good game against Green Bay, just to have a really bad one against the Lions. So this is another one, man. You got to give Sam Darnold some time here, man. Big time.
Yeah, absolutely. First off, though, the 1999 from Smokey, I got a prediction. The defense allows one pass touchdown. I feel like Kupp and Puka. We covered the first half. I think Tutu is the next factor for them. That's a good point. I think TJ is going to have his monster game finally. I hope so. TJ's got to break out. And again, TJ had, if Darnold didn't miss him, TJ had about 3 catches that would have probably resulted in about 50 to 60 yards that were just missed throws by Darnold.
Yeah.
So,
and I got some pro TJ Hawkinson stats that we'll get into as we go on here. Hey, Skol your suit, my dude.
In a minute.
Skol boys, let's fucking go. Bounce back time. Hey, facts. We're taking this W. We got Mafia in the building as well, my dude. Of course, Young Smokey keeps coming at us with the dollars. We need AJ big for the second half. He needs to eat, clock, and score. Yeah, I got some stats for him too. There's going to be some good things we can take advantage of here. We just got to do it, and we got to do it better than we did the first time.
Yeah, and as of late, a lot of the pressure.
Smokey.
But yes, Darnold missed a lot of throws last week, but he was also pressured. I think they said at halftime he was pressured on 59% of his dropbacks. That number seems high, but I think it was some sort of a crazy number like that.
Yeah.
And obviously, look, for as poor as Darnold played, that is just unacceptable. And over the past few weeks, the trend is a lot of that's been coming from the left side. Brian O'Neill is one of the better and most underrated right tackles in football. Reisner, from a pass protecting perspective, is playing pretty well this year at right guard. Bradbury is always Bradbury, but man, Blake Brandel started off this year hot, and he is absolutely collapsed this last month or so. And then look, Cam Robinson, of course, tough spot, got traded here, started off hot. He also a lot of penalties. I think he was second on that offensive line in pressures allowed against the Lions last week. So look, and we've seen it. The first matchup, we got in for the first quarter and a half. It was an absolute shootout between these two teams. And if it turns into that type of game again, we're going to need this offensive line to be better in order for Sam Darnold to have time and utilize Jefferson, Addison, TJ, and even Jalen Naylor. So yeah, the offensive line has not been playing well enough as of late. They've been trying their best. They've been playing tough in certain spots. But this last week was probably one of the worst showings we've seen as a whole. And if this game turns into a shootout, you're going to have to hold up. And this defense has some absolute monsters, right? They got Braden Fisk, who's having a huge year. Guy you and I both liked coming out of Florida State. He's got 8.5 sacks. Obviously. Jared Verse is having a big year. His name escapes me. What's their defensive interior guy's name? Is it Colby Turner?
Colby Turner. Yep, that's him.
I believe he as a defensive tackle this year also has 8.5 sacks. I'm pretty sure. Let me check. Yeah, 8 sacks this year from that defensive tackle spot. So this defense, look, it's as it is every week with this offensive line that it's been suspect for quite a while. It's going to be another tough test against a really, really good defensive front.
Yeah, and just answering Young Smokey's question here, and just like you were kind of saying, like their defensive front is good. Their pass rushing is very solid. I mean, PFF has them as ranked as the 10th, has the 10th highest pass rush grade. They are like, I mean, they don't get to the quarterback a lot. They're 21st in sacks in general, but they're definitely a position group you have to worry about. We're going to get into the secondary in a little bit here, but their secondary is not great at all. So we're going to get into that. So that's like an area for us to kind of take advantage of, is the secondary big time. But obviously keeping Sam Darnold up is going to be, kind of priority number one for us to even take advantage of that secondary, which we'll get into a second here. But keeping on rolling here, and this is an obvious one. This didn't seem as big of an issue until last week. Score touchdowns in the red zone. Obviously, I respect Kevin O'Connell. There's some people out there who are like, Kevin O'Connell should have just took the points. I'm like, you don't take points against a Lions team that's going to go for it on fourth down every time and scores a lot of points. So I like that he went for it twice on fourth down when we were in the red zone there, but we just were missing throws. And this is a game, obviously, we cannot do that. This is another team whose offense is more like, we're more worried about their offense than their defense. When you got Stafford, Puka, Kupp, and Kyron, like they're going to have a chance to score some points on you. So this is another one. You got to stay aggressive in the red zone. And ultimately, man, you got to get some touchdowns. Yeah, you got to score.
And the hope is that last game is an anomaly. I mean, obviously,
Kinetic, by the way.
What's going on, Kinetic? I feel like this season.
Oh, scoliosis. What's going on, my guy? Welcome back. Sorry.
This season, it just never felt like red zone was an issue for this team. And this last week, and I do think this last week was just a really, really good game plan by Aaron Glenn. I mean, again, everyone had been talking crap about how that Lions defense was so banged up, which they are injury wise. But I think Aaron Glenn came in with a really good plan here, and I think it was basically a great chess match he played with O'Connell, people kind of said it after the game, when O'Connell was expecting man coverage, they dropped into zone. He's expecting a zone coverage, they dropped into man. So it's just I think Aaron Glenn had a really good plan for the way our offense execute in the red zone, and I think a lot of that does come from knowing that when we get down into that low red area, when we're not at the goal line, this team doesn't seem to run the football. So I do think he was expecting a pass heavy goal to go scenarios, which is exactly what ended up happening, which did contribute to the 0-4 in the red zone, plus the leaky protection on the offensive line, plus Sam Darnold just missing throws. He had open receivers all over and just missed them. So look, man, like the red zone, everyone knows when you get down there, you got to score touchdowns. And if you're not able to do that, then you're not going to win many games in general, especially a game like this. But you got to bounce back after that miserable performance last week.
Yeah, Smokey, dude, you're crazy, bro. You're actually crazy. Smokey with the 199 question. Who remembers the Pats back in the day? No run game. Tom Brady took short passes and run game with compromised O-line. That's the Vikings formula. Kind of tried utilizing Josh Oliver and TJ Quick through short passes mixed with runs and deep shots. Yeah, and that's like, and talking about the red zone here too, and appreciate you, Smokey, big time. But talking about the red zone here too, and that's another thing. Like everybody's like, hey, the Vikings are not ever running in the red zone. Well, we rank like 31st in the NFL in yards in the red zone. And like, I mean, every single time we ran in the red zone last week, it got blown up immediately. So it is kind of the point, like we have no choice but to pass in the red zone. It feels like our offensive line cannot block in those little short areas, it seems like. And yeah, you want to implement the run game, but if every time you run the ball, it's an automatic -1 yard or a loss of down, I don't know, like at least like the 5-yard line, it has not been working all year long for us scoring touchdowns from the run game at that area of the field.
But you still got to try. You got to show you're willing to try it. Because if they know you're just going to drop back into a straight 5-drop passing game, they're going to drop back into coverage and you're not going to be able to find anybody open. It's just the way that,
I mean, I don't know. I don't think that's necessarily true. Like, yeah, on paper that makes sense. But if you watch tape and every single time they run the ball and they can't get anywhere, like just keeping them on the toes to run a ball, to run and then getting, I mean, you should definitely throw it in there sometimes, but I'm going to argue that maybe you shouldn't. Like, I'd rather have you have an attempt to throw the ball, especially with the talent you have as your wide receivers and stuff like that. than just lose a play, because that's what it's been like all year. Like, I get it, you need to establish the run, you need to use a run, but what does it do if you lose an entire down from that?
You can't sit and look at, oh, this is what happened. This is what happened this whole season before this, and you can't let that dictate the play call you're playing now. If you go out there and you see a formation you like and you can run against it,
they don't know. They don't know that you're for sure not going to run. I get it. You need to establish the run. It's important to run to keep teams on your toes. But at what point, when it works not at all, is that worthless? Like, you're just going to lose a play. You're going to lose a play.
But are those numbers low because we don't do it enough?
No, it's we get.
I would argue yes.
I'm arguing that I'll watch. I mean, you saying in general. Because all year we've been getting stuffed in the red zone every single time. I mean, unless someone like remind me of the times where we gained like even scoring in the red zone from like 3 yards out or something. Like, I can't even think. Like, I get it. You want to establish the run, but is it worth losing a down just to make sure the other team's on their toes and things like that? I don't know.
It opens more up for you than just being a straight drop back shotgun passing in the red zone.
Potentially.
0-4 last week. It didn't work.
Potentially. We ran it like at least twice.
It was 0-4 last week. It did not work because we threw it every time.
No, we ran a couple times and got absolutely blown up.
They were able just to get after us.
We ran and got blown up. We ran and got blown up like twice in the red zone. And then we started passing it. And then we started passing it every time. And then Sam Darnold was just missing throws. I mean, I'm sorry, but if you're not doing anything there, you got Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson, and TJ Hawkinson. Do what you have to. I mean, if they're going to pull every single player off the offense, the defense, no one's going to do that. Pull all their players off the defensive line just knowing you're going to throw. At that point, you can call audible and then run there. But I don't know. I do not feel great about our running in the red zone. I just don't. Even if like logically I get what you're saying as far as like you need to establish the run, that's what everybody says. But there's scenarios where I don't think that is going to work if it just never works. As everybody knows, you never convert there. I don't know.
I mean, it's part of the game. You still got to be able to do it. 1999, I think the numbers
should be able to. If it doesn't work, then what? You don't have to do anything that don't work. You don't have to do anything. There's no rules to having to do things.
Can I read this now? Thank you.
Yes.
I think the numbers are low because Kevin O'Connell doesn't trust our line. Let's think about Christian Darrisaw. Will rightly misses games. We need hit on both sides of the line finally. Yeah, that is true. Yeah, the offense. Both trenches have been kind of an issue for in recent memory. For sure.
Yeah, and having Christian Darrisaw, I mean, that could be a whole nother thing. But yeah, our interior has not been good. I mean, it worked. Like if we're like 15 yards out, it's like fine. But it's just like when we're right in like 5 yards out, it just isn't work. It just doesn't work. I don't know. It doesn't work. I mean, you're going to have to do it a couple times, but it just isn't working. In this game, I think. And that is a good point too. Like, I mean, with Kevin O'Connell, like if you just don't trust the offensive line, I think it's that, but Kevin O'Connell's just a passing guy first. And I think he's easily a little early on pulling the trigger to get away from the run game in general. But at the same time, he isn't wrong where we have struggled in that area this season, and this isn't the best team for it. Like next year, it'll be interesting if we are able to fill those holes on that offensive line and we come in with just
Ashton Genty, or
Genty or whatever. Like if we come in with an actual run game, because we haven't been good in that area since he's been our head coach. So it'd be interesting to see how things will be when he actually has like a real run game, because he has both the running back and the talent on the offensive line as well.
But I do think it was funny how on his X's and O's with PA, he had mentioned he's like, yeah, when Akers broke off that 58-yard run, it's like, God, I was really hoping to get into the red zone in the end zone because I knew the red zone was coming, and that was not good.
I know. That's what I was. Them and same with Ivan Pace Jr. pick. Like you're just like, come on, just bring it to the house.
Me and my family were joking in my brother's basement, like, oh hey, look, we're in the red zone. I bet we don't score, and sure enough, we didn't. But
Vikings Rams moved to Arizona, underrated Dogler. Is that happen? Or are you saying like if we do go to Arizona for the game? I know there hasn't been. Oh, it's official. Is it official? Casey's a strapping, good-looking man. Let's go.
Yep, moved to Arizona. Ian Rappaport officially.
Dang! On the show, it's official. We are going to Arizona.
And,
Obviously,
honestly, it's like I think there's going to be a lot of. I mean, look, there's a lot of Vikings fans in LA. I think you're going to get a lot of Vikings fans in Arizona too. Yeah, from the NFL.
Well,
in the interest of public safety, Monday's Vikings-Rams wildcard game has been moved from SoFi in Inglewood, California, to State Farm Stadium, the home of the Arizona Cardinals. Game will be televised normal time, 7 p.m. On ESPN. So
let's go.
There you go. Officially moved. Obviously, I mean, I think we all had a feeling this was coming, especially seeing the recent. I mean, obviously the videos the last couple of days and seeing that recent photo from outside the Rams practice facility. Just in the interest of the player safety, player health, all that type of stuff. I understand the decision to move the game, obviously. So
yeah. And then I mean, this as far as Viking fans go, I mean that's like one of the top destinations for snowbirds and things like that.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
So I mean, there's going to be that's definitely from the football game standards specifically. Yeah. That's definitely a positive for us. But obviously, the whole situation's not a positive.
Yeah, and now both teams have to both teams have to travel now. So I mean, it's not like obviously they're not going as far, but both teams are still going to have to travel.
Am I reading Chris saying it's going from grass? Actually do not know. That's a good question. I don't even know either of those fields if it's grass or turf. We'll find that out. Hopefully we get there before the Rams when we travel.
Artificial turf in SoFi, but it can be covered with grass turf.
T-Bass, yes, I think turf.
Let's see. State Farm Stadium is made of Tifway 419 Bermuda grass. So yes, I believe you are correct.
Okay.
Because isn't it Arizona where like they roll it up and like roll it out onto the field before games? Or is that
I don't know.
I know there's a stadium that they do that.
They do that. One thing about that as well is
that moves outside to get in the sun.
Smokey is
stadium. They roll the field into the stadium.
A positive here, Smokey, is that LA is 2 hours behind Minnesota, and Arizona will be 1 hour behind. So they'll actually even there'll be less time zone difference on top of that. So
and now the Rams are being affected by that too. So
yeah, so they gain an hour, we lose an hour. So it's kind of that part of it meets in the middle there. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously that's good news for us in football. Still bad news for LA and stuff. So hopefully they get that figured out. But keeping on going here with our number one key to victory, and that is going to, unfortunately from Sam Darnold because of his play last week, this game kind of feels like it's on his shoulders. At least from the pregame, it feels like it should be on his shoulders. Who knows if he has a really solid game, everything could be good there. But this is when I throw out some stats against, because not just for him to bounce back, but the reason why he should be able to bounce back is I said this earlier, the coverage in secondary is not great over there for the Rams. And just going through some stats right here, the Rams rank as the 10th worst in coverage according to PFF with a grade of 57.2. Their cornerbacks are ranked as the 6th worst unit defending wide receivers. Their linebackers ranked 8th worst in defending wide receivers. They allow the 4th most touchdowns this season, or passing touchdowns this season. They also allow the 6th most yards after catch. They also allow the 2nd most yard after catch to tight ends, and they allow the highest completion percentage against running backs in the passing game. AKA, we should be able to use all our weapons against their secondary in this game. And up until this last week, with Sam Darnold mostly just missing throws, he has been able to kind of create that chemistry with everybody on this team. And we even were able to kind of see it again with Jalen Naylor last week, as he was kind of the only productive wide receiver that we had for his limited playing time. So this is going to be a good one. We need Darnold in this one. And outside of the, hoping that he's protected, he should be able to take advantage of the secondary.
Right. I mean, and in order to take advantage of the secondary, you got to have time to throw. So that is a big one. We already kind of went on about that offensive, or our offensive line and that pass rush, because obviously, obviously we know $5 from Matty, man. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. At least we'll have 2 backups with experience if Sam has another bad game.
Yeah, we're gonna get in that.
We will definitely be getting into that.
Hey, Joe in the building, my guy. Welcome in. Yeah, and Skol, man. Playoffs. Got to get this W.
New season. Last week matters no more to any of us, right? We're moving on. But obviously,
1-0.
Because obviously after last week, I do think that Lions defense. I mean, I think the Rams gonna. I mean, obviously the Rams saw that the first time they played us, but I do think they're gonna take what they saw from the Lions, just like they did the first time, and realize that the key to getting this offense out of rhythm, and the key to getting Sam Darnold, because Sam Darnold been playing great football. Honestly, since that last time they played the Rams, I mean, they played that Jaguars game was rough, but ever since that game, he's been playing at an MVP caliber type of level. And that has been because I believe the protection has been, for the most part, solid. Usually when he takes sacks, it is because he holds on to the ball for too long, whether that's him, whether that's O'Connell's play calling. You can kind of blame, split the blame up however you want to with that. But I do think the Rams are going to come into this game looking at this last game and thinking the way to get into Darnold's head in these big time games, and just kind of get into his head in general, is to get pressure, like you do with a lot of quarterbacks, is just to get pressure around their feet. And I do think that I mean, again, we already pointed out that like these guys have some guys on this defensive line with high sack numbers. I mean, Brent, especially from the middle, Braden Fisk and Turner coming in with 8 sacks each, and Jared Verse having a big season as well.
Right.
So I think that's going to be their game plan, is to get after Darnold and get him rattled a little bit, which, as we saw last game, is an effective strategy. But if this offensive line can just give him a little bit more time, so he's comfortable in that pocket, can stand tall, and just make some throws, is going to be huge. And the big thing is, like, yeah, you pointed out, this is a weak secondary, so this would be a big opportunity for Sam Darnold to bounce back. But even if protection is perfect, as they're kind of going through the comments here, Sam does just need to get his head back on straight and just play like he was playing these games before this. Like he always says it's just another game. You got to go one play at a time, one game at a time. And I really hope after this week, O'Connell can just kind of sit him down, rein him in, and just get back into that mindset of, yes, this was that Lions game was the biggest game of your career. There was a lot on the line.
Right.
But this week is a bigger game with more on the line, because last week you weren't done. You still had playoffs. This week, if you lose, you go home.
You're out. Right.
I know he looked, maybe a little bit rattled last week. You're not going to be able to do that this week, because if you do, this game is going to go downhill, and it's going to go downhill fast. So yes, I think the main key to this game is literally just Darnold getting his head back on straight and just playing football, playing confident, fun football like he was 8 weeks before that Lions
right
game. And we know he can do it, as we said, because after the Jags game, people were talking about benching him. Like, we had seen good football from him before. We know he's capable of it. So he's just gonna have to bounce back this game. And it's easier said than done. I understand that, but especially for a guy who, if we lose, this may be his last game as a Viking, and he's gonna go into free agency, and he's gonna have to try to make some money somewhere. And he made himself. He's already made himself a ton of money this year, but that last game, for him in his future, you're going to want to, if this is the last game you play, you're going to want to put some good film. You're going to want to put some good film out there. So, this game, really, I think this game is going to come down to, can Sam Darnold just revert back to that guy that he was for 8 weeks when people were talking about him as an MVP, potential MVP, being in the MVP.
Right. Literally 2 weeks ago.
He's going to have to get back to that.
Yeah. And yeah, dude, it's going to be a big one for him. And this game matters a ton. And I know, everybody's like, if he has a bad game, like, the Vikings are not going to keep him around or whatever, which is, I'm like, I said it earlier, like, playoffs, these big games, they really matter. And this one's going to be a big one. And he gets a chance to bounce back and prove that, he is that guy that a lot of Viking fans think he is, or was up until this point, to the point where you're willing to, salvage your future, your whole plan for this one quarterback here. And I still hope he does it. And I think he's going to. I think he's going to bounce back and have a good game. I don't know if he's going to, have like the game he had against the Packers or against Tennessee. I don't know if it's going to be that type of game, but I do think we're going to see a bounce back from him. And, I think he has kind of changed there. We haven't really seen a game that bad. And like you said, Yeah, last week was probably the biggest. I would probably say last week was a bigger game than it is this week. But I would say this one, like you said, this one means a lot more. Yeah, you lose this one, you're out. So there's more on the line here. You can't have a bad game, and there's a lot on the line. So I mean, even like if he has a bad game, like he's gonna probably make less money than he would have if he doesn't have a good game. So there's a lot on the line. So if he does come out here and ball out, it does show a lot about Sam Darnold, especially after having a bad game last week and bouncing back. And we've seen it all year. This would be, if he has a bad game, this would be the first time this entire year that we didn't see him bounce back.
Right. And the thing is, everyone knows physically, Darnold's
Thank you,
always
FT.
had the talent, right? So if his worst 2 games of the year are going to be a game to clinch your division and clinch the 1 seed and a playoff game, that's only going to feed into what the Sam Darnold story has been since he got here. It's like he has all the physical talent in the world. It's just the mental thing that he can't overcome. And this is going to be a huge step in him doing that. By the way, as I was rambling, I did miss the last 2 Smoky Donos as well as FT Maddie. Thank you guys so much for those. We
appreciate you guys.
Appreciate those.
Big time. But keeping on rolling here, let's get into some Gauntlet. Boom. Obviously, if anybody doesn't know, we go through each one. I always pick the wrong one here. All right, there we go. We go through each one of these, and we each get 30 seconds to give our thoughts on each one of these topics. This one, we got Brian Flores future, Daniel Jones QB2, Arizona game, which is funny because that was before we even knew that we were for sure playing there. And then our biggest concern, our X factor, and then our bold prediction. Casey, let me know when you are ready to jump into that. Actually, before we do that, again, everybody, given the Gridiron Kings JJ McCarthy, this is a really nice card, actually. So get the hashtag Skols in the comments, like the video, and subscribe if you have not already. All that good stuff. But yeah, Casey, let me know when you are ready to rock on this.
Yeah. All right, let's roll.
All right, 3, 2, 1.
I mean, obviously, as we heard, Brian Flores, I believe, now has 3 confirmed requests for head coaching interviews. Look, I mean, everyone knew that Brian Flores probably would be a head coach this year if it wasn't for the pending lawsuit with the league. No matter what, I do think he deserves it. And I think, and kind of just looking at what's going to help him in the future, just listening to his press conference yesterday when he was asked all these questions, I think being with Kevin O'Connell is huge. I mean, that's the big question, is quarterback development and just leadership in general. I think he's took a ton from Kevin O'Connell he's going to carry into his future.
Yeah, and I mean, man, it's starting to just feel like he's not going to be here, even though everybody's like, there's no one going to take him. And maybe that is true. I feel like after this offseason, if he does not get hired, you got to feel pretty confident at that point. Like, yeah, he's probably not getting hired until after this lawsuit, because it's getting to the point where it's just like, you're just dumb if you don't grab him. He's going to be him and Ben Johnson. I mean, you're just even lucky that those two are even going to be candidates this year. Yeah.
Daniel Jones at QB2. Obviously, Daniel Jones was elevated to the active roster. Brett Ripien did clear waivers. He is back on the practice squad. And Kevin O'Connell, when asked today about the ordering of quarterbacks, again, this had nothing to do with Sam Darnold's play last week. It's been something that's kind of been in the works. I still don't even think that if Darnold struggles, you put Jones in. I think you just roll with Darnold as we've done all year. But Kevin O'Connell didn't really say it's Nick Mullins to be the quarterback too. He said, whatever helps us, whatever gives us the best chance to win, that's what I'll do.
And I do think that's Daniel Jones over Nick Mullins if it comes down to it. And you're talking about if there's no world where Sam Darnold leaves this game. There's just no way unless he throws like 10 picks or something. But if he does go down with an injury or something like that, Daniel Jones is a playoff tested. We've seen it personally. I do think he has to be QB2. He's been here long enough, in my opinion. And on top of that, us bringing up to the active roster gives us a chance for a comp pick in the future.
As we all know, the game was moved to Arizona due to the devastating fires in the LA area. So again, this adds an interesting wrinkle because both teams now have to travel. Both teams have to shift time zones. Yeah, I mean and look, as we talked about, a lot of Vikings fans going to be in Arizona. There were going to be a lot of Vikings fans in LA, but even more in Arizona. I mean, this is huge. I mean, yeah, playoff games don't get moved often, obviously, so it's going to be a weird atmosphere.
Yeah, and it's definitely, this game's became very neutral, and arguably it could end up just benefiting us over them overall. I don't know what the plan is with tickets or how they're going to handle that, if they're going to try to get more Rams fans in there or whatever. I wouldn't be surprised. It probably would be fair at this point, because otherwise, straight up, I think we get more Vikings fans there. We talked about the time zones being a neutral now, and it's just as well as the stadium, so that's a big one.
Yeah. For me, after last week, I do got to say that my biggest concern is our offensive line giving Sam Darnold time to throw the football. I mean, as we pointed out, this defense has some dogs. Kobe Turner, second-year guy. Obviously, I believe I said 8 sacks this year. Then you got the 2 rookies, Braden Fisk and Jared Verse, who are both having really good seasons as well. And, Turner and Fisk are coming from the middle, which is where our offensive line is at its weakest. So, to me, if you want to win this game, you got to be able to throw the ball and run the ball, and you got to be able to block up front. And this presents a lot of challenges.
And I'm going to have to go to which obviously that's going to be a big one, but I got to go to the other side of the ball. We've just been getting eaten up all year by these type of receivers like Puka and Kupp, but Puka in general, we saw what happened last time. He the way that they used him early in the game kind of opened up their offense for the rest of it, including Kyron Williams and all those things. So I think, we need to do our best to do what we did for most of the game against the Lions last week.
X Factor. My X Factor, is going to be Sam Darnold. And for me, it's just the mental. It's just Sam Darnold bouncing back, realizing, he can play better football than he did last week. He was just a little bit off. Mentally, handle the pressure better, get out there and just have fun and just play free like you've been doing in the weeks before that. And against, as you pointed out, a secondary that's pretty weak. If this offensive line can hold up, Sam Darnold can make some plays downfield. So, yeah, he's gonna have to do better than he did last week.
Yeah. Oh, man, this is kind of tough. Because X Factor, obviously, Sam Darnold. I'm just going to go double down for now. Sam Darnold, we talked about it. He needs to bounce back. We saw what happened to this team when he wasn't on, and it was not good. There's a chance we win. If he just is the same quarterback he's been in the last, 8 weeks or whatever, there's a great chance that we would have won that game. And it just shows how important he is to this team's success in general, but especially offense. So you got to go Sammy here.
And we're just going to keep rolling with Sam Darnold. My bold prediction is Sam Darnold does, in fact, bounce back. I think, look, like you said, is he going to have a 370-yard, 4-touchdown game? Probably not. But I do think that he's going to bounce back. I think he's going to play confident. I could see him. I don't think he's going to turn the ball over. I could see him completing about 65% of his passes, throwing for a couple of touchdowns. And I think we're going to see that Sam Darnold of the past 8 weeks finally come back.
Mine is going to be, I'm going to go back to the defense here. And I do think that our defense, that I'm assuming I haven't checked recently, has the most takeaways in the NFL still. And I do think they're going to keep that rolling. I think they leave this game with at least 3 turnovers. And I do think we step up in the similar way we did against the Lions. And I do think that we hold I said this last week, but I think we hold the Rams to 350 or less passing yards. Or yards in general.
Hey, what's going on? The Chosen League podcast. Joining us from Twitch. Thank you so much. Sam Darnold that worked in his favor. Minnesota's looking dangerous. They are. It just need to do more of what we did before last week and less of what we did last week for Darnold. But
hey, appreciate you, man. You're the first one. We just started the Twitch thing. You're the first one from Twitch to pop in here. So welcome in. Anyways, I guess we ended on some predictions. I guess it's a good time to go into some score predictions. Score predictions. How are we feeling? We did bold predictions. Obviously, Sam Darnold, you want him to bounce back. The defense, they're just playing high right now, man. I was other than the end of that game, I was extremely impressed with the way they showed up, especially against that tough Lions offense with Ben Johnson. And I really do think that we can do something similar. Van Gink, it's playoffs, man. If there's a guy who's playoff tested, it's Brian Flores, right? We talked about kept making the playoffs before, but we didn't have Brian Flores as our defensive coordinator. This dude is ready. And I believe he also mentioned something earlier in the season about like a few weeks ago about like coming into playoffs with like a different strategy. Like I think that dude has a playoff playbook specifically for this defense. And you got dogs on this team, like the Van Ginkels, the Cashman, the Grenards, the guys, the Ivan Pace Juniors, the guy with high motors who are all over the field at all times. Those are the type of guys that step up and play their best ball in the biggest games. So I'm expecting a huge game actually from our defense, and we're probably going to need it. So as far as score prediction goes, you know, I saw I think it was, who was it? It was Salee earlier, or was it Bleeding Purple earlier? I forget. But he said 34-20. I'm going to double down with that. I think I kind of gave us a big lead last week as well, and it had a chance to. I didn't know Sam Darnold was going to bounce back, but this is with Sam Darnold bouncing back. We score 34 points. We hold the Rams to 20 in this game, and we win by 14 points. And we're feeling good going into Detroit again for the third time's a charm, hopefully.
I'm going to go more with kind of what Smokey's got here. I'm going 28-24 Vikings. Vikings find a way to get the dub in Arizona, I guess you can say now. I just don't think Kevin. I think they're going to come up with a good game plan. I think Kevin O'Connell's going to be extra motivated because obviously you don't want to have that 0-2 playoff record kind of staring you in the face. So yeah, I think the Vikings go into Arizona. I think they find a way to get this one done. I think it's going to be another kind of close game where the offense gets things done and the defense just has to make a couple of plays. So I'm going with that. I'm going with it. I'm going with 28-24. Vikings find a way to get the W.
Let's go. We need this one. We need this one. We do. We really need it. Hey, Nano, man, it's been a minute. Hey, it's Phil Mackey. That was actually fucking hilarious. That was good. I like that. That was good. It's Phil Mackey.
I mean, another good one. I think we do.
What up, Dan? By the way.
I understand it could end up being a shootout, but I do think you got to sustain some drives and keep that defense off the field. And I do think that was a big reason why that fourth quarter got so out of hand. It's just that defense was exhausted and just they did as much as they could, and the offense just wasn't able to contribute at all. And I think that had a huge effect on just the way that score ended up being just so lopsided. Yeah, by the way, Dan, thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. Mark, that is funny. Again, everybody, about to give away the JJ McCarthy, aka Anakin Skywalker rookie card. So get the hashtag Skols in the comments, like the video, and subscribe. All that good stuff. Sometimes, man, some companies, they'll make like cards like that, like Star Wars based off of like football players. You usually see it with baseball mostly, but they should do that and have him Anakin Skywalker.
They have like an NFL like Uno collab or something like that.
They probably do.
I thought I saw something about that. I'm pretty sure.
They probably do.
Like an NFL Uno collab.
I would like to see Nudie play as he has the speed to keep up. I would love to at this point. It's just hard to believe that they'll play him much just because it's playoffs.
Yeah, in the playoffs.
Even though I wish they would have used him more up until this point. So we could have had that as an option. Got to stop Kyrie, tired of getting cooked by running backs. Yeah, I mean, we got to do whatever we can. We've done good most this season. Last week, we did a really good job, I thought, for the most part, until the fourth quarter, really. And then everything broke loose. So again, like, and Kyron did really good against us last time. So you just got to, and I mean, to me, in my opinion, like generally it's a lot of it, like start with stopping the run and everything else work. This is like, you got to stop Puka and Cup. You got to stop those nickel and dime throws. And I think that's the best way we can get to stopping Kyron and just disrupting the whole thing and making big plays. And that's what I think this defense, Brian Flores is going to have this defense ready to go.
I do think in order to stop the short passing game, you do got to probably blitz less, honestly, just because I mean, they're going to expect us to do it. And I think that Sean McVay is a talented play caller. I think he's going to have a good way to kind of, to negate it. So I do think that Flores is going to have to probably blitz a little bit less.
In case they're going to get frosthead.
I wear a hat still when I'm out and about. I protect it.
It's like I'm protected. You got to be protected. Oh, man. Okay. Anyways, let's get this going.
JD, thanks for popping in, man.
Hey, let's go, JD. Coming in for that playoff W. We're getting it. We're turning around. I do think, I mean, just straight up, we got the better team. If it just feels like it comes down to Sam Darnold. If he plays well, we win this game. I think this defense is going to be ready. He might not even have to play that great in this one because I think this defense is going to be ready to go. So I'm super excited to see that. But let's go.
And that's it. It is just going to come down to because again, as we said, there was opportunities on offense. There was 3 or 4 missed touchdown throws that Darnold had last week. And if you hit a couple of those, you're looking at a completely different ball game here. So that's going to be huge.
Like completely. I mean, if we should have been up 17-3 at halftime, we're talking about a completely different game. It literally came all the way down to the end of the last minute of the third quarter. And not even like the fourth quarter, if Andrew Van Ginkel catches that pass and goes for a touchdown, like this is a completely different game. Yeah. This is a game that we've already said it a million times, but it feels like we lost. What's that? We made a lot of missed opportunities. It's one of those ones. It wasn't like we just got our ass straight whooped. It was like Sam Darnold wasn't here. His arm wasn't there that day. So hopefully all of that turns around in this game, which I think it's going to be. Elo didn't mean to scan that item, LOL. What's that? This team is meant to win a Super Bowl with JJ McCarthy. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
If you do it this year, no one's going to be upset.
No, we can win it this year. I'm so cool. I mean, we're one Sam Darnold game away, one playoff game away from Sam Darnold being the future quarterback again. So
it is crazy, right? Like there was all the conversation up until that Lions game, and then it all just
and then it just stopped. That's why, dude, we can't be like driving with our emotions out here. That's how quick things can turn.
Can JJ play now? He's walking around good on the sidelines.
No
one's gonna know the difference. Come on, it's fine.
Of course, JJ McCarthy is the future of the plan. Why would we draft him top 10? But no, it's gonna happen. Sam Darnold, and I'm calling it right now. We're winning this game. Sam Darnold's gonna bounce back, and we're gonna be right back into the Sam Darnold versus JJ McCarthy thing. Hey, George Blunt, props to JC Great show, broskies. Hey, we appreciate you, bro. We appreciate you.
We try.
No, we feeling it now. We feeling it. No, we're coming for this one. I think when we were talking, I think the thing that got me most excited while we were talking is remembering that Brian Flores said that he had something special set up for playoffs specifically. And I was hoping we didn't see any of it last game. Actually, maybe we did see some of it last game because for the most part, we did a great job. And the fact that he has played, I think he has a Super Bowl as defensive coordinator. Correct.
Well, I think he was like the defensive
or
something.
or play assistant or whatever it was. Yeah, not coordinator. I forgot what his title was exactly.
Hey, thank you, JD.
Appreciate y'all. Just because appreciate you guys. But no. So I mean, he has that experience in playoffs.
Yeah,
I think I'm feeling confident he's going to have these players ready, and I feel confident in these players. I mean, you got even Harrison Smith, man. This is Harrison Smith. He's got to throw everything he's got on the field this game. You know, he might not have another playoff opportunity in his career, so it's going to be big.
Like obviously O'Connell played for Belichick, but I do think another thing with Flores is like I think he's going to be able to. Have some insights for O'Connell on what it's like to coach for a playoff caliber coach like Bill Belichick. So I think a lot of that's going to factor in as well here.
Yeah.
Before we get into the giveaway stuff. We probably should mention that since the game is on Monday night, we will be pushing our post-game reaction stream to Tuesday, 6 p.m. Central Time. So make sure to adjust your schedules to be here with us on Tuesday of next week instead of Monday night. Little change up.
It's going to be a big one, and hopefully we're talking about a W and getting ready for that Lions game. That we absolutely are going to win this the third time. Hopefully.
Let's hope so.
It'll be interesting, but hey, we got to get past this Rams first. And I don't know, man. I'm feeling more confident as we talk. I'm feeling more confident. I think Flores is going to come in balling. Go live for the game, boys. We could, but
it's tough to do sometimes. I mean, it's talk after it.
My problem with that,
just take everything in so you can talk about it after.
That, and for me, it's just like, we do this podcast thing and stuff, but it's like the reason why I even do this is because we just like watch it. Like we love football. We love watching the Vikings play. So it's hard for me to you can't pay attention. Like I even said, like I don't even really like to go to games that much. Like I do, I like the atmosphere, but I don't like it from a standpoint of watching the game because I can't. I'm the type of person who am cool with sitting alone in a room with no one else, unless you're as big of a fan as I am, and like dissecting this game. So that's our part. We've done a couple things before where we're live during a game or whatever, and I don't know. It's not enjoyable. This is why we started watching it. So I think we probably won't really be doing a lot of live streams during the games.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of people would probably like that. So I don't know. Maybe there's going to be probably a game that we do it eventually. But a playoff game, like we need to be dialed in on this one. I need to be dialed in.
Absolutely. I mean, I get angry during games, and you guys don't want.
Casey does get angry. You're probably, especially with the bald head now, you probably won't look at him the same. He's gonna be beat red. Yeah, you probably won't look at him the same during the Vikes game, unless it's going good. Then everything's great. But
JD, I hope you're right. I mean, look, everyone says it. No matter who you talk to, everyone in the league. Flores said it. I think Drew Rosenhaus said it today. Like Kevin O'Connell is going to be one of he's going to be a really, really good football coach. He already is a really, really good football coach, and he just needs to break the seal of that playoff win. And I do think it'd be great to have it happen this year, and just kind of give this team a little more confidence going forward. So
let's go.
It's going to happen, man. It's going to happen for him. He's going to get that. He's going to get that dub.
We're getting it. All right, let's get this card again, or give this card away again. The JJ McCarthy Gridiron Kings, aka Anakin Skywalker. Now, I guess. So let's get it. 3, 2, 1, boom. Pick 5 names. Go into the duck race, and we are starting here off with Dan. Dan, are you still in here? I think it has been a minute for Dan.
What's going on, Justin? Thanks for hopping in, man.
Hey, what's up, Justin? Got here right in time. All right, let's keep on going. Dan, let us know if you're in here. We got number 2. And it is. Boom. Scoliosis. I know you have not won a card yet. I don't know if you've been into the duck race yet. Scoliosis, I did see your comment. Let us know that you're still in here. I believe you are. All right, let's keep going. Hey, there he is. Let's go. All right, keep on going. We haven't heard from Dan yet, but let's keep rolling here. Who is Anakin Skywalker? Seriously, is that something about Star Wars? It is Star Wars. T-Bass, you were like in your prime during when Star Wars was like the biggest thing in the world. Nick Riley.
Nick's
still in here. He's got to be still in here.
So we're waiting on Dan, waiting on Nick. So far, do we have one name?
Scoliosis. Oh yeah, we got one name.
Yeah.
Scoliosis, what a name. Yeah, I know. When Scoliosis popped in here too, I was like, I like that name. All right. Who we got next? Boom. Bob Swede. I mean, it wouldn't make any sense. He makes every single one. So literally every single one. All right, Swede. Nick, let us know. Dan, let us know, but we got to keep going. I know who Luke Skywalker is. 75, T-Bass chasing tail. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. And Gary.
Swede is in. Still haven't heard from.
We got boy Gary.
Gary, I assume, is probably still kicking.
Gary, you're in here. I guess I don't even know. Gary, are you in here? Yeah, he's in here. 709.
Oh, yeah. That's 5 minutes ago, but I'm sure he's still
here. Gary, where are you at, man? I'm going to go again because we haven't seen Riley yet either.
Or Dan.
Or Dan. So we'll keep on rocking.
So the rest of you guys, it's getting easier. Gary is here.
Gary is here. Kinetic. It's been a lot while for Kinetic. Here,
Dan
fellas.
is here. All right. Okay.
Dan is here. All right. It does go to Dan. I'll add Kinetic as well, but I haven't heard anything from him.
Do we already have 5? Is that 5?
Yeah, that's 5.
Oh, I didn't think that many people actually had said they were here. All right.
Fair enough, T-Bass. Fair enough. All right, I'm bringing it up. Kinetic. I got to give Kinetic at least like 1 minute here. I'll bring this up, though.
Oh, there's Kinetic. He's here.
There he is. All right. All right, we're going 6 names. Oh, wait. T-Bass, I should spend my time hunting and fishing. I choose my time to talk about Vikings on here. You know? And I don't know. All right. 45 seconds. All the names are in here. Set. What are we doing here?
1-0 in the playoffs. Okay. Three lame ducks, but 3 cool ones.
I mean, we could go. We should probably do 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that'd be the best luck.
Let's roll with it.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Strawberry ducks in there.
2 lame ones.
Yeah.
Duck, punk rock duck, and super duck. All right, cool. I like it.
Let's do it. We got it. What do you got, Scoliosis? You got scuba duck. All right, let's get it. 3, 2, 1. Boom. Let's see what we got. Sweden, the early lead. Scoliosis in second, close. We got Nick in third, Gary in fourth, Dan fifth, and Kinetic Alien Duck last so far. But everything is evening out here. Let's see. Scoliosis is the only one that has not won a card that I know of. Actually, I have Nick Riley. I did leave. I have Nick Riley in here. So actually, technically, he isn't supposed to be in here. But hey, we'll see what happens.
I've never actually seen a duck.
And Nick Riley's going to win. No. Oh, wait. Scuba Duck is coming hot. Scuba Duck's coming. It's Dan. It's Dan. Superman Duck. Dang. Dan kind of just stayed at the same spot the whole time. Let's go, Dan. Let's go.
Yeah, I've never seen a duck go off the screen before.
I know. That's actually crazy. And he's making a comeback, too. He's making a comeback. Dan, I got all your info. So I'll get you that card, my guy. Absolutely. All that good stuff. But
any other thoughts on this one? I mean, I think we both kind of already said a lot. It's just tough game. You know, obviously kind of very similar to last time. Lose to the Lions, go play the Rams. Game is now in Arizona. They're going to, I mean, I think that defense is going to try to challenge our offense, and it's going to be up to O'Connell to call a good game, the offensive line to block, and Darnold just needs to just get back to playing ball. And that's really what it all comes down to. Last week, you could just tell he wasn't quite in the same mental headspace we'd seen him in. He was throwing high every time. I mean,
appreciate you.
But it's really going to need to be a big bounce back from Darnold, I think, and that's really going to kind of be what decides this game. Yeah, dude, 100%. And I mean, I think he's going to, or at least like it's going to be better than the last one. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. It's hard to be worse. And we got to wait all the way till Monday. So that part kind of stinks. Again, everybody, Smokey, always Smokey, man. Appreciate you big time. FT Maddie came in here hot. I appreciate you, FT. George Blunt, JD. We got everybody hooking it up today. We appreciate it big time. Yeah, man. And obviously, everybody else just hops in anyway. We obviously appreciate you guys as well. Thank you so much. Again, remember, programming note next Tuesday, 6 p.m. Central Time is when we will be doing our post-game stream, not on Monday due to the game being on Monday. So we'll see you guys right here on Tuesday, breaking down a huge Vikings win. Let's go. We'll play off week 2. So thank you guys so much for joining. See you guys next time. Skol Vikes.